Hi, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Adobe Live. My name is Ryan Selvey. I'm really excited to be joined by Lizzie Edwards today. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's super bright and sunny here in Raleigh, so enjoying the nice weather.
Yeah, great to have you. I'm streaming here from Brooklyn, and I'm really excited to be hopping into what we're looking at today. I know that we're doing some quilt-inspired design for people who are new to your face. Do you want to just give a quick breakdown of yourself as an artist, a little elevator pitch?
Yeah. My name is Lizzie. I am currently a senior at North Carolina State University. I'm graduating in May with a degree in graphic and experience design and minors in anthropology and art studies. I'm also a freelance graphic designer and illustrator, and I run my own business called Give Love Studio. I started it about 6 years ago as a way to build my portfolio when applying to colleges, and I've started sharing my artwork online, selling it, and haven't stopped since. So, super
Man, you
great
sound
to have that
really
background.
lazy. Sounds like you have so much free time all the time.
Yeah, totally.
No, sounds like you've got a loaded schedule. That's really cool. I'd love to also learn more as we hop into stuff, learn more about like what the experience design is like, what your experience is with being like a business owner, hopping into everything. And we also have a live chat, well, because we're streaming to both YouTube and Behance at the time of broadcast. But if you're watching the replay, I promise we'll make it worth your while. If you guys have any questions, comments, anything while we're streaming, go ahead, throw it in the chat, and I'll be sure to pass it along to Lizzie. The whole point of streaming live is having you guys involved. So it's great to have you. Thank you to Cody and Dino and Kate for being here right at the beginning. But as you guys tune in later, also make sure you say hello. If you're watching the replay, make sure you give it a comment. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull up your screen and we can take a look at what we're looking at today. So we are here in
Okay,
Illustrator.
so
We've got a really pretty background for your wallpaper, by the way. I like the pinks and blues, or I guess purples,
thank
pinks and
you.
purples. But
Yeah.
what are we looking at in Illustrator here?
So today I'm going to walk through how to build quilt compositions using basic geometric shapes. So I typically start with a grid, and I literally go square by square and build it that way. My compositions vary. Right now I'm working in the Instagram larger size. So this is um, up to 1,350 pixels tall. And
It's
so
that
I'm
four
just
by
going to go
five
through,
ratio, right?
yeah, 4 by 5.
And then in that way
Um,
you can also make it like a carousel if you want to. But they also kind of prioritize those. I think if you put music on top of it, it can even appear in the Reels tab too. So you kind of have extra exposure there. Um, but how do you feel about like kind of working in that very niche kind of composition size? Like that doesn't really exist in print, right? Like it's very unique. Like this is
no.
for Instagram.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I like having my work exist digitally and physically, but I think mainly in terms of like social media, I'm designing for Instagram and then I format that into 5 by 7 and 8 by 10 prints. The ratio typically isn't too different. I just have to adjust my backgrounds and type size as time goes on. And so I think it's a great way to reach people. Like you said, carousels are pretty much all I share on my Instagram. It's the way to go. And I think Illustrator and Express provide a lot of opportunities where you're able to kind of recolor and change fonts very easily, making it accessible, and you can move forward through your workflow quickly.
That's awesome. And so do you feel like with like school, a lot of times they're having you kind of focus on social media a lot now, or most of your projects kind of focused on the idea of like, I don't know, practical physical world creations?
Yeah, I would say that it depends on the class. I'm currently taking a studio that's sponsored, and so we're focusing on agentic AI, and my group is focusing on news and media, and we are working in the service design sector, and we've decided to um, kind of focus on more like the physical real world aspects. But I would say my academic projects overall, more recently have been like apps and websites, but my personal work. Um, provides a different experience, where I'm looking more into like traditional graphic design, as we would say,
Right.
like books, prints, etc.
And I think that's such a part. I'm sure you already probably have a good idea of it because you have your own business and you're working while also in school. But also when you get right out of school, in my experience, learned that there's the stuff that you do immediately for work and for money and kind of the kind of stuff that you're doing as part of the process, and then there's the stuff that you're really passionate about too. Sometimes they overlap, sometimes one supplements the other as far as like your mental well-being. So it's important to be able to know what you're passionate about and be able to look inward and say, I want to create this. And so it seems cool that you are being able to figure out a quilt. Now, have you ever made a quilt in real life?
I have not.
Yeah,
I'm
it'd be hard.
not a very like DIY craft person.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to sew. Don't really do a lot of embroidery. It's something I've always wanted to do, but I feel like um, as things have kind of shifted in the creative field, where we're looking to have more of like an artist touch, like see the artist hand. Since I'm not able to do that physically, I wanted to bring that into my work digitally and adapt from there.
I love that.
Um, and so far, so good. There's a lot of like new techniques out there. I love using the parametric filters in Adobe Photoshop Beta, where you can make things embroidered. Um, Obviously, I'm sure I could turn this quilt into something of that effect, but today I'm just going to stick to my typical design pattern.
Yeah.
So now that I've completed the grid, I took triangles and squares to make this quilt-like heart shape, and I'm just evenly placing it across. Um, I do like to kind of eyeball things, so that means that my quilts aren't necessarily perfect, but I do like having a grid as my base. And I typically style them so that text goes kind of in the center, like 8 or 16 squares, depending on how large my border is.
Right.
Um, so just
I
kind
think there's
of
something
depends
also
on
with the
what I'm
idea
feeling.
that you mentioned that you have eyeballed it. I think that it is a good idea also with something like making something that feels quilted. There is that hand feel to it. So if it was too perfect, it wouldn't feel right. Um, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And if I feel like something's really off, I will go back and align. So once I'm done with this border, I'll go back and make sure they're at least all centered within each other.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think the artist's hand is a very interesting perspective when it comes to bringing like physical things into digital and vice versa.
And
So
when did
now
you end
that
up getting into design? Like, when is this something that you kind of always were aware of, or kind of when you were figuring out when you were going to college, like what you wanted to do?
Yeah, my mom is actually a graphic designer,
Oh,
and my
cool.
grandma is a very artsy person.
Oh,
My
so it
grandma
was
loves to
destined.
paint and draw. Yeah, I was destined. At a very, very early age, I was shadowing my mom and kind of learning what design looks like.
Hmm.
Um, her experiences with that. And then my eighth grade year, I think I was about 14. I really wanted to see Niall Horan in concert, and
Okay.
I was 14, so I had no money. And I entered a radio station contest and won tickets by designing a poster. And I
Stop.
like ended up teaching myself Illustrator and Photoshop. And
Thank you,
like,
One Direction, for bringing
yeah,
us to this moment. Like, I
yeah, One
always love
Direction
asking that.
really,
Just because like everyone kind of
yeah,
has like an embarrassing kind of way into design. Like mine was like MySpace, and I like wanted to make a bunch of like layouts and stuff. And so it's really of the
yeah,
time of whenever you're like in middle school, to like have your certain interests, I feel like. And then that's normally, I feel like, when design bubbles up. And so I'm so excited that it
totally.
was for a Neil uh, concert, which is fun. Oliver is in the chat saying
Yeah.
quilts and purples, which are two of his favorite things. Delicate Type is saying hello to you. Hi, Liz. We also have Kate Johnson, Patrick Benny, and Sean all saying hello and good morning. Let us know where you guys are joining us from. Also, let us know if you guys have ever quilted or sewn, sewn in your life. And if
So,
you're any good at it.
yeah. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. So now that I have the base of my quilt, I really like to pull my colors and use the Recolor tool in my work. So I typically make a swatch group in the colors panel down at the bottom, and I'm just going to name it Rainbow because it does have all the colors of the rainbow today. Um, and so once I have that done, I select everything and I tend to group by grid, which I have not done yet, but I will do now. Um, and I
I'm
use
also putting up a
that
chat.
as the base. Yeah.
No, you're good. You are
Okay.
always more important than whatever I have to say. I will let you know that just up front right now
Okay.
because I'm just adding things like I'm adding a poll into YouTube which says, "Have you ever quilted or sewn?" So I'm starting that poll over on YouTube for anyone
No,
watching
it's
live.
okay.
Kate wants us to know she's joining from Minneapolis. She says she loves designing and making quilts, which I love to hear. So this is right for you. Delicate Type has mostly worked on just small embroidery projects. Oliver wants to know if I've ever sewn or quilted. I had to sew pajama pants in like seventh grade. Talking a lot about middle school today. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, we
Um,
are. We are.
but and I liked it. I don't know. I enjoyed it, but I wish I was handier now than like if I ripped my pants, I would just be like, oh, I have to throw these away. Because right now I don't have that skill set. We're seeing a comment from Dibena Vids Design is asking if you've ever animated these patterns in After Effects.
I have not. I would say my After Effects skills are probably where I need to grow the most as a designer. But I feel like it would be really interesting to animate a quilt and see that process in real time.
Yeah, for sure. And also, it's like one of those things where you don't have to learn motion. It's only if it's something you're interested in. But as a motion designer myself, I'm always like, do it. But at the same time, like it's not for everyone. So just remember that you carve your own path, and if you don't want to do motion,
Hmm.
there's plenty of ways that you can explore different ways. Also, Emily's joining us in the chat. Love to see Emily as always. Saying very 2026 analog behavior to be quilting, which is very true. Um, Ottoman is saying, "Hey Lizzie, how do you come up with ideas for your design, and what is your design process?" Which is what we're directly getting into. So make sure you stick around, and
Yeah.
we're gonna be hopping into this. Um,
So the quote I've selected for today is from Harry Styles' new song Aperture. Um,
yes,
Let
I'm
me
sensing a
move
theme here,
over.
and I'm here for
Yeah.
it. That music video is
Um,
very cool, by the way.
yes, it is. It's been super great. And
Look at
so,
these. Okay, so wait, are these the ones that
yeah.
you've already? We haven't taken a look at actually your work up to this point. So if someone's just tuning in for the
No,
first
we
time,
haven't.
did you want to pull up your Instagram or thing, or am I derailing you too
Yeah.
much?
No, you're good. We can pull up
Okay,
Instagram.
let's pull up Instagram.
Um,
Give Love Studio on Instagram. Make sure you guys uh, give love to Give Love Studio. Give a follow. But yeah, I'll let you talk about it. I keep cutting you off. It's off to you.
yeah, no, you're good. So as you can see, there's a very common theme in my work. More recently, I've been exploring more analog styles like cross-stitching, quilting, those sorts of things, as well as some embroidery, which you can see here. I use this doing the parametric filters, but I designed everything in Illustrator and then moved over to Photoshop. But commonality between my work is just very bright and bold. I want my page to feel like a safe space for people and feel like they can express themselves. And if you're in any sort of like pop culture fan base, like my page is probably the place to be because that's what I design around a lot. Big
Yes.
fan of Harry Styles, Taylor Swift, you name it, I've probably done it.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much like my work surrounds that. I would love to work in the music industry in some sort of capacity someday. Um, but for now, I'm just going to keep sharing my artwork online and continuing to express myself. So,
think that's great. And I love your exploration of color. I love your exploration of always trying different typefaces. You definitely have a theme with like ones that you gravitate towards, but I think that you have a really good range of being able to experiment with how the different feeling of type affects the different outcome of whatever you're working on, whether it depends on like the quote that it's using or the colors and the imagery that you're using. So it's just really cool to see you've really kind of stretch yourself there and explore more. I see a comment from Kate saying that she loves motion, but she likes to just admire others. She never wants to learn it herself, which, yeah, like I'm saying, totally valid.
Yeah,
And yeah, 100%.
totally. Yeah, I think in terms of motion, the most I've done is like a logo.
Hmm.
I recently did a kinetic type video for one of my classes, but I can't necessarily say I was proud of it. I think it definitely needs some more work. Um, but yeah, definitely something to keep in mind. Um, so going back to, these are some of the final compositions that I built using the simple shapes that I was working on. So today I'm focusing on a heart, again, which is built, I'll zoom in, so we can look at some of the final pieces.
Great.
I'm focusing on a heart, which is comprised of triangles and squares, the stem of the heart, which is a very skinny rectangle, and then like a triangle and a square attached to each other. The star tool, I basically took the star tool and then adjusted the number of points that I wanted and rotated
Now, how are
it.
you doing that, by the way?
Um,
How are you adjusting the number of points when
yeah.
you're pulling up the star tool?
Um, when I'm pulling up the star tool, I do that by hitting the up and down arrow on my keyboard. And you can make it really big and adjust it, or you can make it really small. The max is, I think, like 60.
Oh, I've
And then
never,
the
I've never
minimum
hit it
is three
before.
points.
Also, if you're hitting 60 points, like, what are you doing? Stop, please.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel like that's not a star at that point. Yeah.
Emily's giving your praises in the chat, saying that she's so obsessed with your work and that it seems like you're always in tune with her playlists. Um, Kelsey is here. Good to see you, man. Saying, have you created any retro styles like the 70s? Which, yeah, I can feel like probably you're kind of almost leaning to that sometimes with your orange and your pinks. Um, but do you ever go in to a quilt with an aesthetic in mind, or does it kind of just fill itself based off of vibes?
I feel like it just kind of happens like based off of vibes. Like if the quote that I'm going for I know existed in the 70s, then that's probably what I'll be pulling from.
Yeah.
But I would say my artwork overall kind of gravitates toward like a vintage style. Um, just like bold colors. There was a couple years ago, I did one design a day where I focused on just designing like in vintage styles for an entire year, which was really cool.
Wow.
Um,
That's a
but
lot, though. That's
over
a
the last
lot of
couple of
work.
years, it was a lot. And for some reason, I thought once wasn't enough, so I ended up doing it like
I'm crazy for
twice.
that. I'm crazy
Like
for that.
yeah, it's so crazy. Everyone around me was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It just feels right, I guess." But I've definitely grown a lot in my skill set as a designer doing that,
Yeah,
which has
absolutely. I
been a
mean, you have
great
to.
experience. Yeah.
It's a great way, as long as you're also juggling, your mental well-being and like you're making sure that like, you're being kind to yourself. It's such a great way to improve any skill. If you just do it every day or you set it up to some sort of amount, per week, it can go a really long way. So what are we doing now? Looks like you're
Yeah,
highlighting all the
exactly.
different squares that we have kind of towards the bottom here.
Yes, I'm going to make like a rectangle border using the same pink and blue, but I'm going to have it alternate since those hearts are already alternating. And I'm going to flip that around on the top. And I'm pretty much done with my grid after that. So I'm going to
Nice.
lock it and turn it off so that I can begin working on my type. And I plan on using the retype feature because I love typography, but I can like never remember the names of fonts unless I'm like frequently using them. I'm sure we all run into that issue, but I'm
Yep.
super excited that I was able to incorporate that into my workflow because there'll be files that I open from like months ago and I've stretched the type so that it fits in our 4 by 5 ratio,
Yep.
and I have no idea what it is. So,
Like, who designed this? I don't know. It's just weird.
yeah.
Um,
Um,
no, that's great though. I am also interested to just learn about a few of these typefaces just because I'm like seeing them in your designs and they look really cool and I want to be able to add them to my own stuff.
yeah.
Do you just tend to kind
So
of
like
go
I
and explore, I don't know, like Adobe fonts, or do you tend to just kind of like add things to your computer and then cycle through stuff? How do you pick out your fonts when you're not necessarily using retype?
Yeah, when I'm not using Retype, I spend all of my time on Adobe fonts and I can actually switch over to that. I have a library that I saved specifically for this stream.
Oh, cute.
But since we are making quilt designs, I went ahead and picked like the cross stitch fonts that are in
Nice.
Adobe fonts. And then I've really been into Fate Pixel Soft and Pixel
Yes.
Hard. It's a black letter
Yes.
font. But it
One of
gives
my
a really
favorites,
fun
actually.
effect.
It
Yeah,
won.
it's
I
so
have a
great.
on File New, which comes on right after this. We do a font of the week every week where we have the audience vote. And Fate won when we had it up against two other fonts because it's just like it has so much character and a lot of flexibility for something that doesn't
Mhm.
look like it would necessarily have a lot of flexibility, right? Um, so I always love to see that.
Yeah, it's so great. And it works really well for quilts and cross stitch too because of the effect. Like it already looks like that. And maybe when I move back into Illustrator, I'll go ahead and use that. But I've been really into like cursive script fonts. These
Hmm.
are all like I searched vintage script in Adobe fonts and it just pulled all of these up.
Oh, those
And then
T's are
Mancine.
crazy with Mancine or Mancine. That's such a
Yeah,
crazy
Mancine.
T. And a D
Yeah,
and a G.
I it's
Hmm.
super fun to experiment with glyphs. So I'm also always looking for that. If I'm not looking in Adobe fonts and I'm like actually out in the real world, I love going to like the grocery store and taking pictures of all of the packaging and then
Oh,
kind of
that's
like
fun.
working my way back of how they found, like trying to find the fonts or something similar to it. But yeah, Adobe Fonts is my go-to. I highly recommend checking the recommendations. I feel like everything in recommendations is very like tailored to me. Um,
Hmm.
like if we
So lots
were
of that
to
cool stuff.
just
I'm
take a
seeing a
peek.
comment from Becca. She says, "Would you ever want to design merch for an artist, and if so, who?" Because she loves the one
Oh,
design a day era. Oh, there's two different comments, but I mean they're both from Becca. So
yeah. Gosh, that's such a hard question because I would want to design for everyone. But if I had to pick, I would probably say Harry Styles. I feel like he was a really transformative part of my life, like especially like One Direction.
hmm,
Like I did senior pictures that like revolved around Fine Line and when that came out. So yeah,
we would be so
definitely
good
Harry's
friends if
team.
we went to school together. Like we would vibe so well. I love this. And I also just love how much it's made an impact on the things that you create. But yeah, Harry Styles would be really cool to make merch for. He also does very bright colors and I feel like is willing to, I don't know, go into that almost like he did like kind of like knitted overalls, I think, at one point.
Yeah.
And seeing stuff like that is cool too. Dino's saying that Mancini looks a lot like the one from Lord of the Rings, which, yes, you can definitely use it for some fable and fantasy.
Hmm.
Um, Kelsey agrees. He says that he is the same way with fonts. He's teaching himself to be more creative with them. Yes. And that's great because, I learned in school like never, ever, ever, never, never, never stretch a font. And then I got out of school and everyone was stretching fonts. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm just two in my way. Like, it's okay to break rules. It's okay to do what you need, like, just as long as
Yeah,
you are intentional with what you're doing.
totally. I feel like one of the best things that I've done like in my design school um like process is that I just don't listen to the rules
Yeah.
that like I've been taught foundationally because it's hard to make good work when you're always following what someone else is recommending to you.
Yep.
Like you could have a really good solution otherwise um that you typically wouldn't see if you were to just like play the game.
Yeah.
Um so since we were talking about fate, I'm going to use it for this quote, and I've just adjusted the leading a bit in the character panel because I want it to be slightly tighter and hopefully have it fit in this square over here.
Okay.
Um, and I'm going to break the rules. I don't know if anyone else does this, but I always outline my type and stretch it, which is why the retype tool is like my best friend. But I
Yeah.
don't, I'm never one to like make the text super big. Like I just want to get it how I prefer to have it laid out and like what I'm thinking in my head,
Hmm.
rather than like going backwards. Um, so
You like
I think it's
immediately, you're like, I
safe.
just want people to scream at me in the chat. No one will. Everyone's nice. We are a great
Yeah.
community and no one is screaming. But there
Yeah,
is a
I
type
know that
designer
is
out there that is
totally a not
punching the
take.
keyboard and then backspacing it. I am sure of it.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, for
Taking a
sure.
look at our poll for have you ever quilted or sewn, 42% of people say that yes, they love it. 33% say yes, but I'm awful. 25% say no, but would like to. And nobody said zero. Also, I said no. I said mo instead of no, but I'm glad that you guys know what I was talking about. I'm doing lots here. I'm
Yeah,
streaming. I'm talking. I'm pressing buttons. I'm reading chat. Work with me, people.
you are doing a lot. I definitely appreciate it. I would say I fall in the no, but I would like to category.
Of
Like
course.
maybe once I've graduated and have a bit more time on my hands,
Yeah, no kidding.
I'll be able to do that. And
You
I'm
have
not
like
like
40
doing
products
homework.
going on at any given moment.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's safe to say that this composition is done, but I'm also just gonna copy and paste it onto another artboard
Okay.
and build some additional shapes, so I can make a different composition.
Okay.
Um, Let me unlock my grid. Um,
Unlock it. Unlock it. Emily says you can't stop her from outlining, which yes, is very true. I've seen you do that. I've seen you do that on stream before, Emily. And you know what? If it works for you guys, I'm so scared of going backwards at any point that like my files are always so duplicated and like saved on saved on saved and layers on layers and layers, which hurts my performance. But then I'm always like, I might want to come back to this. Um, you know.
yeah,
Kelsey wants to know if you've ever
I
tried offsetting paths with your type.
I have. I'm not doing that a lot in my current work, but I would say like a year ago, I was definitely offsetting type just to add borders and add additional color, make it like pop off of the screen or the page.
Right.
Um, yeah,
That's all a great
I think
point.
it's a super fun way to work. And I just did the star tool again, like I did previously. Except I'm gonna turn this into strokes for now, and I'm gonna add this heart that I previously built and put it in the center. Um, and maybe I'll change the color, maybe pink and blue. As much as I love it and I've been using it a lot, it is almost springtime, so I feel
Oh,
like
please,
maybe
please
switching
almost
it
be
up would be
springtime.
nice.
Please. Alexa is joining us
Yeah.
in the chat and immediately clocking and saying, "Ooh, aperture lyrics." So nice to have you here, Alexa. If you have any questions about anything, let us know. Or if you just want to, you know, gush about the new Harry Styles, I'm here for it too. Apparently,
Yeah, I'm
Zayn, I
always
think, also
happy to
just
talk
released a
Harry.
song, but I haven't listened to it yet.
Yeah, he did. And he also made a comment about how much Harry Styles tickets were.
Oh yeah, because they're at
I'm
MSG. He's doing
very
30
lucky.
days. That's crazy. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
somehow I got tickets.
Did you
So
really?
I'm going at the end of August. I did. I
Oh,
did.
that's so much fun. That's
Um,
incredible.
my friends call me the Ticketmaster friend,
Oh,
because I'm the one
okay.
who always is like getting the tickets.
All right. Well, then
Um,
I guess I'll hit you up when I'm having a hard time getting things.
yeah, yeah.
I am awful
It's
at getting it. I
always a
always
super
have like
fun
get stuck
experience.
reloading or I end up paying four times the price.
Yeah. Um, Music is just a like really big theme in my work and like a like big part of my life. And so I think I just kind of learned how to play the Ticketmaster game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know how everything works. But since I have this star and heart shape, I'm just going to go ahead and repeat the process and redo the border that I was working on. And I will change the font to a different, it'll be the same quote, but I'm going to switch fonts.
All right.
And the good thing about the quilt is that since it's such a simple base, there's so much you can do with it in such a short period of time. Um, like I know we're about 30 minutes in, but I will most likely have two compositions completed by the time we're done, which is super exciting and great for like a carousel. I'm also able to adapt this to prints really easily. I just have to change the sizing,
Mm-hmm.
and then I typically would have to expand the border a bit. Um, but I'm gonna go over here and use the retype tool because I really liked working on this piece and adding the heart in the middle. That is a common theme in my work. I like breaking down um, typography and adding additional images.
Yep.
Um, and so it says this is tariff light italic, or that one is the most similar. Um, So I'm going to download that really quickly. I also could use Presley Slab, which is one of my favorites. It's like a Western font, like a Western slab font that's super
Yeah.
fun to play with. Um, I guess the con of outlining text is that you do have to retype the quote every single time. Um,
Yep.
but
But you know what?
that
We
is
all
not a
pick our own
problem.
journeys in life to our own struggles, right?
Yeah.
um,
Okay. So
is
I'm
anyone
gonna
else going?
do
I don't mean to make this an entire music-based thing, but is anyone else going
no.
to MSG for Harry Styles' record-breaking residency at the gigantic stadium in the middle of New York City? I just can't get over that he's doing 30 days like that. I know he broke the record last time, but it's still just like incredible to me.
Yeah, 30 days is such a long time.
A long
Um,
time. It's a lot of seats to sell for a very high price
yes.
too. So like I'm just interested in the case study of if that works out for him.
Yeah, I think only time will tell, but I feel like his fan base, it's kind of like Taylor Swift, people will
Yeah.
kind of pay whatever. Not to make this entire thing about music.
No,
Um,
I'm here for it though
I
because it's
obviously could
inspiring the
talk
stuff that we're
music
working on,
all day
right?
long.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Um,
you're breaking the line. I also noticed that you tend to work in text boxes for the most part rather than just like clicking and going, which is a really good habit to get into and I need to get better about because I tend to just click and then have to move things around manually. Um,
mhm.
so it's good to see that.
Yeah, I think I learned how to do that like when I was laying out magazines and stuff in InDesign, like you would only work in one text box.
Yeah.
So as I've grown as a designer, I've just chosen to follow that. Um,
Yeah.
I think it makes life so much easier if it's all in one space. And I'm gonna outline the text and I think I'm gonna pull a heart in because I did like doing that the other day. Um, it's super easy to do. I'm gonna rotate it a little
That's
bit.
nice to be able to incorporate kind of shape and other parts of the design into the type itself. That's nice.
Yeah, I think it's super fun. A lot of the times I'll also do it on like the eyes as well. I'll turn that into a little heart. Um, and it just adds a nice touch. I feel like it ties everything into the border. Sometimes the type and border can feel disconnected.
Okay.
Um, and so I think that's one way to kind of remedy that issue.
Right.
Um, And I'm gonna pull into my color palette. I don't know about the yellow, but we will see. Yeah, that is definitely vibrating. Not a big fan of that.
Yeah, it's only as long as it's intentional, you can have vibration, but as soon as it's not, like it's yeah, it can be
Yeah, as soon as it's
distracting.
not, it's definitely, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna lock my grid again and hopefully use the recolor tool this time because I'm not a big fan of the blue and green
Okay.
um, combination.
But this can also help with
I
some
think
of
it's
that cohesion and vibrance that you were talking about.
yes. So since I pulled in my color palette earlier, I'm just gonna use rainbow and it's gonna adjust it since there's
Cool.
only four colors. And I make sure I have Recolor Art turned on, and if I don't like it, then I can click in and either copy and paste hex codes, which I do sometimes, if I like have a really specific vibe that I'm going for, but if not, then I will just like kind of drag and play around until I find the color system that I'm
Hmm.
looking for. Um, I guess purple could be cool, purple and brown. It definitely took both star shapes into one color. So I guess we'll see.
It's
So
also nice
this
being able
is
to cycle
very
through things that
Christmassy.
you've already made. It is giving a little Christmas.
Yeah, it's giving a little Christmas.
It's also giving a little bit of I don't know, like roses though, in like a garden
Oh
looking top
yeah,
down. Um,
I
which
guess
I
that
feel
is
like
true.
with
Like
love that
Valentine's
also
Day.
works, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like your stuff
you
could also
know,
really work well, and I say this because I love greeting cards. I feel like they could work really well as greeting cards or postcards that you could give to people. That could really resonate with, I don't know, speaking to a moment or a feeling and having that softness.
yeah, that is definitely on my list of things to design. I would love to do like greeting cards or even like a deck of cards, I think would be really cool, especially having done one design a day. I think there is a really good opportunity when you're working on passion projects and like such a different variety. You're able to show your work in different ways outside of it being just like digitally. Um,
Yes.
I've yet to make a book of my work, but I also feel like that could be a super fun like side quest to do.
And you also said
Um,
that you are familiar with InDesign and being able to create with that. So definitely, I think that's something that you can explore.
yeah.
You've got the
Um,
skill set.
so for my third composition, before we move over to Express, hopefully we'll have some time. Um, I did provide a template if anyone wants to make their own composition that follows the shapes that I've been building and working with. I would
Oh,
love to
cool.
see your own take on that.
And that's
Um,
actually a great point to bring up. We do have a Adobe Live Discord, which you can get to by going to adobelivediscord.com. And in it, we have a general area where you can obviously talk about stuff, but we also have an area for our schedule. You can see that we post it at the beginning of each week. You can see that today we've got 3 different shows for you. Right now, we're in the beginning and the top of our roster for the day. Right after this, we have a creator and designers news show hosted by me, going over all different types of creator updates and resources. And then later in the day, we hop over to Twitch for Cinema Collective with CA in LA, and they talk all about the film industry, and they are filmmakers over in LA. Tomorrow, full day of YouTube content with everything from design culture inspired postcards. So you might want to check that out, Lizzie. And then we also have the regulars like making decisions and on the spot at the later end of the day. On Friday, we have a TikTok stream. And then actually, it's not even on here. I have to make sure that I put an update here. But I think at 11 o'clock on Friday, there's also another education stream. So something to just check out. And you can always access that through the schedule area. You can also talk in individual channels for different um, different shows for ones that are recurring. I'm seeing Fauzi is saying that it looks like tomatoes in a garden, which I also can read. You got tomatoes, you've got
yeah.
flowers. We also have Palash joining us and saying hello. So good to see you. If you guys have any questions, let us know. Make sure you vote in that poll. Looks like right now we've gotten a few more votes, and looks like we are still leading with yes, I love it for have you ever quilted or sewn with 50%. Um, so still no nuns. So everyone, or still no
Yeah.
nevers, not nuns. There's no nuns here.
I
Um,
definitely need someone to teach me how to quilt after this. I feel like that would be a really cool experience to pick
Welcome
up.
back to Adobe Live. Today
Um,
we are going through how to quilt. I'd love to see it.
so I just went ahead and pulled up from a previous composition that I had built, and I made these little heart-shaped flowers. I did this by pulling this individual triangle shape, triangle square shape polygon, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I rotated it to 90 degrees, duplicated it, and then I added a rectangle in the middle um, to build little heart-shaped flowers. I feel like that's always super fun, especially with spring coming up. And again, I think it kind of ties into my vintage design. If you think like Bauhaus and just taking like simple geometric shapes and turning it into things,
Yep.
that's a good implementation.
And
Um,
I love that you also brought up Bauhaus, just because, yeah, it's kind of cool how we've come back around. And definitely, I feel like Bauhaus style is also at the forefront again, and kind of how we're approaching in a digital landscape to kind of not regress, but repeal different design things that were forced to be true and absolute truths, kind of like you were saying at the beginning of this stream, and making our own rules and making our own path. So. I think it's a great call out.
yeah, I
Uh,
totally agree and echo all of that. I feel like it's great that we're getting back into kind of like the design history side of things,
hmm
um, and implementing that in our work.
for sure. Um, and so I know we only have about uh, like 15 minutes left. Um, what is next for you? Like, what are you excited? What are you working on? I know you said you're still working on school stuff. What is your workload looking like right now?
My workload is looking very hectic. I'm definitely
hmm
balancing some client work in between just like logos and branding.
Yeah.
And I do some product licensing, so I'll make patterns. Sometimes I have clients reach out via Instagram because they've seen something like this and they like the stripes, the polka dots, the flowers, and then
Right.
that manifests into physical products, which is always really fun.
Yeah.
Um, but outside of school, I definitely want to get back into just designing regularly and kind of pushing the boundaries and what I know. Um, like, for example, motion design is something I haven't really had the opportunity to work with, just because my classes are more user experience and website based,
hmm
website and like application based. So building my portfolio in a different sense, that I'm not as familiar with. I just really want to push the boundaries and kind of see um, where things go.
No,
So
I love
it's
that. That's a
definitely a
great answer.
lot. Yeah, it's definitely a lot to do school and run my own business at the same time, but I
For sure.
wouldn't change it.
Of
I
course.
feel like it's led to some incredible opportunities. Um, and I'm just overall excited to graduate and
No,
be
very
done.
exciting. So, have you
Um,
started counting down the days yet or anything?
no, I
No,
have not.
you don't have
No, I
to.
know.
I know I was
Yeah.
itching. I had like a countdown when I got a little bit closer. But that also might drive you crazy. So there's that as well.
Yeah, I think it kind of gives the like, oh my gosh, like I'm running out of time,
That, yes,
type
that could also
thing.
be scary too.
So, especially with like how busy my studio classes are. Like I said, I'm doing a sponsored studio using agentic AI, but I'm also taking a publishing class, and our prompt right now is to design nothing, which is
Oh,
really interesting.
that is a
Because like, what
nightmare to
does
me.
nothing
Right.
look like? Yeah. Um, but I definitely get a lot of questions about my cross stitch fonts. This is P2 Folk Art Cross, and they also have a block option, which I tend to use. And then in terms of glyphs, like there's some really cool shapes in here. Like I think this flower could be super interesting implemented, or even kind of switching my heart design
Okay.
could be a super different experience. Um,
No, that's great.
yeah.
I just like how like by switching the color and just the typeface, like they all still read very similar, but they also have their own personality and like it changes the mood so quickly. Um, like this definitely feels way more grandma-y, which I love grandma chic. I want to have like the cross stitch up on like my walls that say like random things, but it'd be funny if they were all like,
Oh,
Harry
yeah.
Styles quotes.
No, for
Kelsey says,
sure.
I would like to keep up with you, Lizzie. Where may I? And yeah, we had just kind of pulled up your Instagram at the beginning of the stream, and we'll be sure to pull it up again. What is your handle?
It's at Give Love Studio.
Give Love
Um,
Studio. So make sure you check that out.
yeah, and that's definitely a good way to stay in touch. Yeah, I'm on there pretty much all the time. Um, so now that I have four kind of distinct compositions, I'm gonna switch over to Express and share kind of the template that I made, and you can see these are the example compositions, and it's super easy to kind of drag things in and change colors, very similar to Illustrator,
Mm-hmm.
and combine shapes. So I like to work in both Illustrator and Express. I use Express as a way to kind of check behind myself, if I'm really into making sure that the grid is like completely aligned. That doesn't happen all the time. I would say that's a rare occasion just
Right.
because, like I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I like to kind of show the artist's hand. But it's super nice to kind of have this tie-in. And I'm still able to bring in all of my colors and change things and build different compositions that way. Um, and
I think
it's
that's great.
super easy to build carousels, etc. um, just by kind of pushing things together and moving them around. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
And also, yeah, it's definitely much like a handshake. I know you were saying that like it's very much using Illustrator and Express. And I've definitely fallen to that as well. Like the idea that, you know, you can use both and they can complement each other, which is nice.
exactly. And I love that like I could open like to build the template, I was able to open my file and just kind of pull the shapes over. And it was super easy. And again, like by just changing the colors and the typeface, you're really able to provide different compositions that feel cohesive and go together, even though they all have their own style and personality. And I feel like that aligns with a lot of the work that I share online. I love allowing other people to kind of express themselves like that way through art. Um, we all have like our favorite colors, our favorite styles, etc.
Of course.
And like it's super easy to build compositions and allow people to feel more connected. So,
No, I love that. Um, and then it's kind of cool that you also have all of these different like grouped out, but you can also still hop into them and
mhm.
adjust the heart if you want to. That way you can still
Yeah,
kind of navigate the different layer panels on the side, which is nice.
yeah, I totally agree. Like if I wanted to rotate this and like give it a bit more dimension, I feel like motion could probably work really well here. Um, It's like so interesting. I've never thought about applying motion to the quilts, but I feel like that's my new goal for like post grad. I want to like learn how to animate my designs and kind of see what that looks like.
Yeah, no, it's a great way to add new flair and approach to any project and bring like new life and also give you another excuse to post something again if you worked really hard on it. You're like, I don't want to just
Yeah,
repost the same thing again, but then it's like, oh, if I have some sort of new element for it, then it doesn't feel as weird. But also at the same time, if I think I saw something, if like 60 days have passed, just like repost it onto Instagram because the majority of your audience didn't see it the first time anyway. So um, just
Mm.
something to kind of, I don't know, strive for.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep that in the back of my pocket. I did not know that. Um, but I'm gonna go ahead and add text. I'm gonna use the same Harry Styles quote.
Also, I'm
And
seeing
in
Brandon is saying that he's
Express.
loving these color choices.
Thank you. Yeah, I am definitely a big hot pink person. Like growing up, I would totally say no. Like I would not use pink, wear pink, etc. But it's
Mhm.
definitely manifested in my work, which has been super fun.
Right.
And I'm gonna use a font that I always use. This is Quimby Guber Gubernational. I
Goober.
feel like it's a good, yeah.
Love it.
It's a really great way to like have a handmade feel without adding your handwriting
Yeah.
on top of it. Yeah, I can do some like cursive, but I wouldn't consider myself like a letterer. Like this is really nice and super fun. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm
I mean,
just
it's also,
gonna
yeah, being
go
able to
in.
find ways to still reach that aesthetic without having to necessarily, I don't know, like learn a whole exact new skill set just for one kind of runoff thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's like the really fun thing of, and like exciting thing about quilts.
Hmm.
Like there are so many like geometric shapes that you can just kind of pull and build from that, and everything just builds on top of each other. It's a very like rudimentary way of thinking. Um, but we all grew up learning about circles and squares and rectangles and all of those things.
I mean, yeah, they're a
And it's
base for
super
a
fun.
reason, right?
Yeah, exactly. Um, So, like I said, I pulled my Illustrator file over into Express and built a template. Um, and I would love to see you guys make compositions based on this if you're interested. You have access to all of the simple shapes that I've made. And like it's all very variable from Illustrator to Express. The only thing I can't do is outline my text, which may not be the worst thing in the world. Um,
Right. Forces
but
you into a corner.
yeah, it like backs me into a corner that is normally not a part of my workflow, but like
Yeah,
I'll get over it.
I love it.
Um,
And working
yeah,
while you're uncomfortable is such a big part of growing as an artist.
yes, 1000%. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and change the background as well, just because I'm not liking the pink and the blue or this lilac color.
Hmm.
Um, and so I'm just gonna switch it around to something that I think would look okay with this dark-ish blue purple. Um, and I think a good thing about quilts is that they also can be like monochromatic if you want them to.
Yeah,
And they still build and like work together really efficiently, which is super exciting, like just how versatile they are.
of
Um,
course.
yeah,
And
let's
then I was thinking I
see.
can always just do a recolor and switch it, and everything still kind of works out because it's all working on the same kind of contrast variables, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Um, I think everything about quilts. Like they're just super variable and straightforward. And there are some really cool tools that allow you to recolor and just like build um, assorted compositions. Like we have been going for almost an hour and
I
I've
know
been
we have
able
to
to
wrap
make
things up, which is
five.
so sad.
Yeah,
Flew by though, which
so
is really, really
sad.
nice. And I want to thank you
Yes.
for coming on here and showing everything. Is there anything you want to touch in the last like minute before we hop off?
Um,
If not, that's fine. If we're at a good spot and we're in a great stopping
yeah.
point, um, just
I
want to
think we're at a good
thank you
stopping
so
point.
much for coming on. We'll be sure to check your work out, and yeah, thank you. And we're excited to see what comes next. I'm excited to see more quilts. Excited to see maybe postcards in the future. Who knows? But thank you so much.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Ryan. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. All right. Thank you, everybody, also for joining
Yeah.
us in chat. We'll be back in just a few minutes. All right. Take care. Bye.